Today on Cosmo Times,
we'll be learning all about books across the world.
What do people like to read?
And which bookstores are their favorites? Cosmo Times.
Is that you? You're back? You had me so worried last episode.
Shh. I'm almost finished. And done. Wow. What a story.
What were you reading?
Dracula, the scariest book of all time.
Welcome back. I was so worried about you last week. Where did you go?
I was searching the world for great literature. You know, good literature is like sunset. Oh, that's a simile. It's a literary technique used by great authors to improve their writing.
Sometimes you're a weird bird. That is metaphor for how strange I think you are.
I'm not strange. I'm well-read. I have an abundance of knowledge.
Let's go to this week's Weird on the Street, where we'll be asking the people what and where they like to read.
Along with when they like to read and why.
New Yorkers are constantly on the move, but what happens when they take a minute to slow down and read a good book? I'm here at the New York Public Library to see what New Yorkers are reading.
I like to do it at home. Usually I like to read science fiction.
Different type of fashion magazines.
I read nonfiction.
Usually nonfiction, actually.
Harry Potter books, that kind.
Well, the Hunger Games are coming out next week. Of course, I love to read all the time. I normally read in my room, my dorm room, anywhere really.
Actually, I don't think there's a place. I just do it anywhere.
Usually I do all my reading on the train.
All the time. I want to say mostly on the train.
And normally in my house, in my bedroom.
Probably in my bed, at home.
Okay, and what time of day?
At night, usually. I feel like it's appropriate for the book.
All right, especially in my bed.
That's the answer I've been getting a lot of today. And so when? What time of day?
Before sleeping, it's the best, I think.
So the word on the street today is that people love to read a variety of genres, but the top ones were nonfiction. They also like magazines a lot too, and they like to read in their bed or on the subway. As for me, I'm a fiction kind of lady, so let's escape to another world through a book. Reporting for Cosmo Times, I'm Christy Clements. Now let's take it over to Melbourne.
This is the State Library of Victoria, the largest and most important library here in Melbourne. The question is, do you read much? And if you do, what do you like to read? Let's find out. So did you read it all?
Yeah, I read a fair bit, but I'm more into fantasy, like dragons and stuff like that, and vampires and that kind of stuff.
Only for school.
Not for pleasure?
No, not really.
So,
probably when I graduate I will.
Yeah. So did you read it all?
No books, no.
What about magazines?
I don't read them, I just flick through the pictures.
I like kind of cultural books. Fiction, but kind of about other countries and learning about their culture as well.
I'm reading sci-fi, fantasy, crime stuff.
Oh, wow.
This year I've been reading The Song of Ice and Fire.
My favourite author at the moment, I have to say, is Raymond D. Feist. I've just finished reading the Magician Saga. There's about 30 books in total in the entire series. It starts with a book called Magician, and it ends with a book called Magician's End.
Do you read much?
No, not at all actually, to be honest. Not books anyway.
My favourite books are sports books, so I don't need to go to a big library to find that. I've come to a very small library and found the perfect book. I'm Martin Jama, reporting for Cosmo Times in Melbourne. Now back to Shanghai.
There are bookstores like this in every part of Shanghai, where you can sit down with a cup of tea and enjoy your favorite books. But I'm sure not everyone reads in a place like this. So if there exist other alternatives, where, when, and what does Shanghai loves to read? Let's find out. 请问你最近在看什么书？
像名家的一些散文跟一些名人的自传左右，像韦德出了一本自传，还有一些就是茅盾以前写了一本叫《子夜》的小说，还有就是诺贝尔文学奖莫言的一些书都看。
最近那个路遥先生不是逝世21周年嘛，然后也就借了他的《平凡的世界》又重温了一下。
我最近在看小说，比较传统文化的，悬疑啊，然后言情类啊，侦探类的吧。
历史方面的吧。
那你觉得在什么环境下看这书，你会觉得更加容易 focus？
我觉得浦东图书馆挺好的，浦东图书馆的环境很好。
图书馆看，还有就是在家一个人的时候，听听音乐看也有的。
Looks like for Shanghai, people can enjoy reading anywhere when they have a wonderful book in hand. For me personally, I prefer reading when I'm most relaxed, when I'm doing a massage in a spa. This is Celia Liang reporting for Cosmo Times in Shanghai.
So it seems most of people around the world enjoy reading a variety of books.
Yeah, they seem to enjoy both fiction and non-fiction alike. I want to publish a book.
Really? About what?
About DIY. It would have blank pages and come with a pen.
You're so funny. Not. If you like books so much, maybe I should start calling you 百书书.
Go ahead and call me that. Most of my friends at university did as well. Hey, at least I remember books for what they are. You only know of books as the ideas for famous movies.
Hey, that was mean. Stay tuned, because when we come back,
we'll be talking about bookstores around the world.
What unique places do people like to buy their books?
Cosmo Times.
Welcome back. Bai Shishu, I just wanted to know that if our hosting experiences were put into a novel, you would be the antagonist. Does that make you question your character?
Ha ha ha. What a funny joke. I just love satire. I never knew you could appreciate such literary techniques. Clearly, I'm the protagonist and the hero of the story.
Wait, what? That was not satire.
Let's check out this week's first city search, starting with New York City.
Some people do it in the bed, some people do it in the park, and some do it in the coffee shop. I'm talking reading. So today on this episode of Cosmo Times, we're checking out independent bookstores. And in a place like New York, New Yorkers love to read. Our first stop today is Strand Books. Let's go check it out. Strand opened its doors in 1927 on 4th Avenue, also known as New York's Book Row. 48 bookstores once called this historic area home, and today, Strand is the only one left standing. This three-story reading mecca has books of all kinds, including art, science, fiction, nonfiction, economics, and collectibles. Strand's event manager, Emily, tells us the store's secrets for success.
It's just an impressive place to be. I mean, you walk in and you're immediately overwhelmed in a good way with this fantastic collection of literature. I mean, our longtime slogan was 18 miles of books. We actually have closer to, I think, 24 miles of books today. But just to kind of see what that physically looks like, I think a lot of people are interested. And kind of beautiful to find a signed Albert Einstein volume, which is really cool. So it's kind of a museum and a bookstore at the same time. Besides that, we have an amazing collection of art books, one of the best in the city and even in the country.
Although reading is an independent experience, Strand brings literature lovers together through its book-based events. The store has hosted gatherings with well-known authors like George Sanders, James Franco, and Graham Nash. If you're looking to find a great read without scaling every single shelf, be sure to check out the staff picks. There's a lot of staff picks that I saw,
Yeah.
so how does that work?
Well, all of our staff are extensive readers, avid readers. A lot of them either have worked at bookstores in the past for a long time, or they're MFA students. A lot of them are just literature lovers.
We've all been there. Love to book, but tired of it taking up space in our home. Strand has the solution. You can sell a single book, a collection, or even your entire library. Emily tells us about some of the treasures found in between the pages.
And you would find a lot of volumes from like the 1910s and 1920s that were gifted from people. So they have like handwritten notes in it. And the book is, it's called Paris Was Ours.
Chivalry is not dead.
Chivalry
okay?
is not dead. Yeah, and you know, he wrote a cute little sort of sugary note in there about how, you know, he loved her and everything.
So sweet. Well, if you love someone, get it in print. That's all I gotta say. Next, we book it over to Housing Works Bookstore. All of their inventory is used or donated. Manager Nick tells us why this spot stands out in the Big Apple.
The Housing Works Bookstore is in Soho. We've been here since 1994. Every dollar that we raise goes back to fund the mission of Housing Works Inc., which is the largest aid service nonprofit on the East Coast, and the largest charity focusing on homelessness on the East Coast.
Almost all of the staff at Housing Works are volunteers, which demonstrates their love of the city and a good read. While the books they're working with aren't hot off the press, they have their own special qualities.
I want to say that most of our books are donated. They're donated very much by the people in our community, but they also are donated from publishers and magazines that just have extra books that they don't need. So a lot of them are not used in the traditional sense. They're like brand new books.
With its cozy interior and unique array of book titles, it's no surprise that Housing Works is always seeing visitors. They also hold events with different themes like food, music, sports, and more. But there's one event that really brings a love of books to life.
People can actually get married here, and several weekends a year we close down, we move the tables that you see, we put in these beautiful tables. I should show you pictures, it looks beautiful.
So as we've seen today from the bookstores that we checked out, the New York reading experience is unlike any other because you've got a lot of shops and cool locations to go to that are offering something special to the literary community. Reporting for Cosmo Times, I'm Christy Clements, and excuse me while I get lost in these books.
The Housing Works Bookstore Cafe is such a nice and generous idea.
True, it's an innovative way to help the less advantaged people of New York.
I know a lot of schools in China also have book drives to raise money for the poor.
Hey, speaking of China, why do you think Chinese literature is so confusing?
Why?
Because it's so hard to remember so many characters. Get it?
What's the difference between you and a boring book?
What?
I cannot tell a book to shut up.
But you can just shut the book, right? Shut it.
Anyways, let's check out our next city search in Los Angeles.
We know Los Angeles for Hollywood, but as a whole, it's an underestimated hub for all sorts of culture and creativities. The size of the city and the variety of creatives in it allow for a breadth of places to buy books.
Wanted to open a bookstore because I was working as a social worker, and it was very demanding in a different way, very emotional. And I just thought I'm from this area and I have a partner, so we just started this together. It's a community place, and of course it's a business, but it's really it's made up by the community.
Yes. So what kind of books do you sell here?
Almost every subject, not all, but a lot. And we have new and used, and every section is mixed. I mean, I think all our sections are kind of special because of that blend of used and sometimes even very old, like collectible, and then new. So you might have Hemingway, you know, in literature, and there'd be a brand new paperback, and then a very old used hardback all together.
Yes.
So that kind of makes it an interesting
Just a mix,
blend.
yeah.
Well, it's always been locals, regulars, people that live in the area, but everyone comes in. A lot of moms come in for their children, for kids' books, but then the regulars that have coffee are, a lot of them are writers or musicians, people that live in the area.
Stories is a perfect place for reading and gatherings, especially in the cozy back patio with a cup of sweet latte. Was it an original idea when you opened the bookstore you want to have a cafeteria inside as well?
Yes, it was always together. But the cafe is almost an equal business to they bring in equal amounts of revenue.
Yes.
So it's really just having two lines of revenue in one. the baristas and the cafe people, I think all of them are artists, so their art's going to be up on the walls. So it's called Stories by Stories.
Stories by Stories.
Yeah, and then the music will be the musicians that work here. There's a few musicians that work here, so we're just doing acoustic stuff. And then we'll have a DJ and food and drink.
That sounds very fun. There are plenty of charming bookstores in LA that you can enjoy your day. So instead of buying best-selling books online, why not visiting a local bookstore and chat with sweet storekeeper who will happily align your passion with great books. I'm Xiwen, reporting from Los Angeles for Cosmo Times.
When we come back,
We'll learn about a bookstore right here in Shanghai.
on this week's Shanghai City Search.
Cosmo Times.
Welcome back. So it seems like the people in New York and LA like to drink coffee while they purchase their books.
You know, Bai Xu, I don't want you to think I don't read. In fact, my dad gives me books for my birthday every year.
Wow, you must have quite a library.
What is that supposed to mean?
Nothing.
I actually do love to read. Speaking of, why don't I take you to this week's Shanghai City Search at my favorite bookstore, Shanghai's very own Zhongshu Book Attic. Located in Shanghai's Times Town, Zhongshu Book Attic is called the most beautiful bookstore in Shanghai by many readers. Even far from the downtown area, Zhongshu Book Attic has embraced millions of readers since it opened this past April. Regardless of the moving technology trend, I still prefer a paper book. I want to turn pages. There's nothing like a good book in hand. How long would you like to spend in choosing a book? I can spend hours. But even for me, this bookstore is absolutely huge. It's over 600 square meters, with an attic boasting a massive collection of over 25,000 books. Even the floor is made of books. Within this labyrinth of novels, walking around, I don't even know where to begin. It's like I'm lost in the forest of pages. If it wasn't for Pond, I don't think I would have ever made it out. 这位先生，不好意思打扰一下。
你好。
我转悠转悠，这实在是太难转悠出去了。你家的这个书店太有特色了，这到底是一个什么样的设计啊？
您现在所处的这个位置呢，是在我们9宫格的其中的一个格子里。9宫格的寓意呢，是取自于曹植的《洛神赋》当中“九宫乃合天下之大也”。那么，所谓的九宫乃合天下之大也呢，就是说在9宫之内包含了天下的文化与苍生。在我们的书店，我们要体现的是我们海派文化的精髓，也就是东西方文化在这里的碰撞、交流与融合。
With the guidance of the store manager, Mr. Pan, I knew that the store itself is designed into 9 equal sections according to Zan culture. Keeping organized, each section caters to different interests, such as traditional culture or management science. But it's a vibe that really sets Zhongshu Book Attic apart. It's like around each corner lays your own little space, hidden away from the world where you can truly read in peace. But to really chill out, you need to check out the second floor.
你请。
哇！
这里呢，就是我们的梦幻阅读空间。我们在这里打造的是一个蛋形的一个纯白的空间。我们的读者在这里呢，喜欢席地而坐，然后在这里看书的时候呢，通过我们天空的那个镜面的反射，大家会有一种在云端阅读的感觉。我们这里的图书设计呢，基本上都是以吸引青少年以及创意设计师为主的。那么他们在这里呢，往往能感受到一种在云端的这样的一种阅读感受，这样他们会产生更多的灵感与激情。
It's not hard to understand why this bookstore is considered one of the city's most beautiful. Han also took me to an exclusive room, full of unique and rare editions with some only amounting to 5 copies in the entire world.
这一间是我们最美书店打造的最美书屋。您看这一本呢，就是其中的一个孤本的复刻本。
哇，太美了！
通常我们如果是要长期翻阅的话呢，建议大家是戴着纯棉的手套来进行。
Zhongshu Book Attic is one of many in Shanghai that create a truly unique atmosphere, providing book lovers like me with an experience as rare as the books themselves.
I think this bookstore is really interesting. It is really too bad that Bai Xu missed out. I think he would have enjoyed himself here. Oh well, bad luck. Maybe next time. What are you doing now?
Hey, that Zhongshu Book Attic is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it is a really unique place. You should check it out if you're ever in that area.
Missy, are you okay? You seem upset.
What? I'm fine.
Oh, Nancy, I can read you like an open book. I can tell whenever you're upset.
You just wanted to say like an open book, didn't you?
Yeah, sorry about that. Let's tune into this week's creative source.
Alright, you already know about fish and chips, but there's a lot more going on in kitchens throughout the UK. Over at Glow London, we get an authentic look at British cuisine here in Shanghai with some English chicken and baby back ribs.
It takes a whole night to infuse all the flavors and make the meat a little bit softer. Then the next day, we slow cook it in the oven for more than 3 hours, and then it goes to our hickory smokers.
After being slow cooked on the char grill, the chicken and ribs are finally served with unique hand-cut chips and battered onion rings together with vegetables of this season. An amazing roast is one thing, but you also get homemade sauce, an absolute rarity in many restaurants.
Our barbecue sauce, very traditional British sauce, is different from the American version. It's a little bit more sweeter, and then we added a hint of spice.
It matches succulent English cuisine to help beat the cold weather, giving Shanghai a look at what it really means to eat British.
Cultural exchange is an important factor nowadays, and it was really exciting to see how Air New Zealand is willing to support their own culture and share with other parts of the world, such as Shanghai.
New Zealand is a place where you get to hold your all 6 senses. Eating and having the taste and look at the things and hear things and smell things. There's also an experience, and New Zealand gives you an experience to relax. New Zealand gives you an experience to just be yourself.
They held an indulgent evening with New Zealand's best food and wine, and exciting performance by Strike Percussion, a high-energy group made of New Zealand's most outstanding percussionists. And last but not least, the flight from Shanghai to New Zealand is only 11 hours apart. So what are you guys waiting for if not to go on this breathtaking journey as the hobbits did in The Lord of the Rings?
I hope you enjoyed today's episode as we explored bookstores around the world. And of course, Carpe Librum.
Isn't it Carpe Diem?
Carpe Diem means seize the day. Carpe Librum means seize the book.
Wow, thanks for that useless fact. Bye everyone, have a nice weekend.
We'll see you next time.
Come on. Come on. Come on.